Hi, I'm Seth Hertzler, and today I'd like to talk to you about something that is near and dear to my heart. Viewing early 2000s media with rose-tinted glasses, without thinking too critically so that I don't have to admit that the things that I grew up with, while fundamental to who I am now, were objectively low quality, problematic, or flawed in any way, because I've equated these things with my inherent character and self-worth. So admitting this media has any flaws would be an admission of my own shortcomings, which I'm unwilling to contend with. Specifically, I'd like to talk to you about Webkinz, and how it shaped me and other Gen Z kids into the people we are today.
Get ready to discover an exciting new concept from Gans.
Webkinz, okay? $10.
Prizes! Shopping for clothes!
Because what happens is with each toy, you get a password, you go online.
Coolest thing is everything!
The coolest thing is everything Webkinz.
The key for this Christmas is interactive. There are lots of things that you can do.
It's all too high-tech for my brain.
Hey, you guys, it's starting! This is so much fun! Cool!
We're the Webkinz, and we live in Webkinz world. We are fun and having fun,
Tons of fun!
for every boy and girl. But we need someone to take care of us. Go on adventures, play games, take a big class. We're the Webkinz, and we live in Webkinz world.
Welcome to Webkinz World, a place of wonder and excitement, where your plush Webkinz toy comes to life and becomes your pet. You can adopt your pet, name it, and then create a home for it to play in. Every Webkinz needs a home and someone to love them.
First released on April 29th, 2005 by the Canadian company Gans, Webkinz began producing and marketing their first series of stuffed animals. You can tell they were marketing to the cool kids because of the Z at the end. Each Webkin came with a signature W somewhere on its body, along with an 8-digit code. After buying their Webkinz, the owner would visit webkinz.com, where they would be brought to an online adoption site run by a penguin NPC named Miss Birdie. After typing in the code, the player would be able to adopt a digital version of their physical toy. Actually, while I was scripting this, I started thinking about that process and how it's kind of upsettingly reminiscent to NFTs. So I looked it up, and there was a interview that the owner of Webkinz did, and he said that he was thinking about it, but it wasn't coming soon, and that stresses me out because I don't like that. No, thank you. In Webkinz World, you would gain the ability to clothe, feed, and play with your pet, along with decorating their rooms, making friends, doing trivia, going to school, becoming a cog in the system of capitalism, making tasty recipes, making a wish at the wishing well, playing in tournaments, going on one short vacation while still not being able to afford anything in the long run and still feeling guilty for not working. You should have been working. There's fences that needed painting and newspapers you had to deliver. Why did you think you deserved to go on vacation? Why? Or you could visit my favorite place, the Curio Shop, where you could hunt for all 30 gems and try to complete your Webkinz Crown of Wonder.
Congratulations!
And discover cool artifacts sold by none other than Artifact. It is a cool name because it was Artifact, but it was Arty. They put it together and it's Artifact.
Congratulations!
That's pretty cool. That's visual storytelling. That's verbal storytelling. That's storytelling. The game quickly grew more popular, peaking around 2008 with 4 million users. Webkinz never grew as big as other online pet care games like Neopets, Animal Jam, or Mushy Monsters, but it still continues to maintain a dedicated cult-like following, and remained relatively well-known throughout the 2010s, going as far as to outlive many of its more popular competitors. There's been a lot of changes and features removed since its heyday around 2010, like the removal of My Page, the Webkinz Caring Valley. They got rid of the ability to visit friends' rooms. You can't throw parties anymore. But most egregiously, they got rid of Dr. Quack. and the daily Kins Care system, and they replaced it with Webkinz Family Score. So now your pets will constantly ask for food. They'll ask for exercise. They'll want to play a game, and they want to watch you perform a job, obviously. What is up? So today I will be, of course, playing Webkinz, but I think we'll actually spend all stream in somewhere because it was a hotly requested game and obviously a fan favorite. So here I am with my little guy. I think I'm gonna want to redesign his room for the next couple hours because chat was really going off on me last stream for how lame my room was. Oh. Okay, guys, I'm actually gonna get my cat here an army shirt because she asked me, and I want to respect her bodily autonomy. So, okay, guys, I'm actually here at the Kinstyle outlet because I unfortunately did not have the army shirt that my cat wanted. Because we're not bootlickers here
Hey there,
in the
fashion
Webkinz
fanatic.
world.
Welcome back to the
But I'll
Kinstyle
go ahead
outlet.
and support small business and buy that. All right,
It's a bunch.
let's put that bad
You are
boy
one
on.
cool customer.
Oh.
Don't go trying to be somebody else. That's not what the world wants you to be. Just be happy being yourself. That's the person your friends want to see.
So, I'm transgender, and while I can deal with gender dysphoria, body dysmorphia, systemic disenfranchisement, and constant transphobia, what really hurts is that my Webkinz will not stop dead-naming me. I think that the mainstream media needs to calm down about the bathroom issue or detransitioning, and they should really focus on making sure kids understand that this will negatively impact their Webkinz account. If I knew that, I wouldn't have transed. Honestly. Webkinz, for some god-awful reason, does not allow the user to change their username, their pet's name, their name, any name. So whenever I do anything nice for my pets, they dead name me. We live in a society.
Why you gotta be so serious?
Along with not being able to change your pet's name, you also can't change their gender. But even so, Webkinz mentions that your pets are comfortable wearing whatever you put them in. But despite this, I always tried to convince myself that a couple of my pets were the opposite gender, and I tried to never look at their birth certificate. Now that I'm making this video, I started to find out that some of the pets that I could have sworn were male actually weren't, and vice versa. Definitely something a cis child would have done.
Well, tell me, where did you get those stripes? You've got a cool dude hat. You love Spice Salmon Strudel.
Okay, so you want me to just give my story?
Yeah, give me your story.
My favorite Webkinz character that I made, my favorite Webkin, it was the yellow striped tabby. Forget what I named it. It was probably something like Lovey or Yellow or like a random name like Becky. But I always put pretty much the same outfit on that cat. It was the Hop promotional blue plaid overshirt with some sort of shirt underneath. It was that and the dude hat. I think that was really indicative of what gave me gender euphoria as a child and trying to explore like the dichotomy between the pink ballerina set and that dude hat and switching between those Webkinz freely. I think that really helped me a lot as a child, even if I couldn't really understand how it was impacting me at that time.
What was the gender assigned at adoption for that cat?
I think it was AFAB. I think that cat was AFAB. I have no idea though. Most of my animals were AFAB.
How old were you at the time?
Pre-middle school, elementary school.
I don't think we did an intro at all for you.
Okay. Uppercase X, lowercase x, underscore.
Yes.
Capital K-I-N-Z,
Yes.
capital K-I-D,
Yeah.
underscore,
Yeah.
lowercase x, uppercase X, Pronouns they, them. Age, old enough, winky face.
Good. Looking back at how I used to basically LARP gender in Webkinz makes me really surprised that I didn't realize I was a quirky. You know, when I played, I think my only real grasp on gender identity was clothing. So I think that was the only way that I really knew how to express gender, you know? Every time I got a Webkin, I almost always made it a girl. I almost always dressed it up all hyper feminine in order to deny my own discomfort with my gender and my gender expression. But I'd also do the reverse, and I'd make other female characters adopt a really masked persona to live vicariously through. I try to use the very limited communication functions in the Kins chat in the park to try to convince players that my pet, and by extension I, was a boy. Even when I started to get really dysphoric, Webkinz was always just kind of like there. When I was about 14 and I started, you know, realizing I was trans, I tried to purge all of my, like, early childhood things, like, most of my Webkinz. Most of these are my brother's Webkinz, because I threw all of mine out, which is really unfortunate, because they were really sick. But, you know, they reminded me too much of the way I expressed myself, unfortunately, that I just threw them all out, which is too bad, because those could have been collector's items. And that's the real tragedy here. The only reason I don't just make a new account is because the connection I have with my old one, and because I collected so much shit over the years. And of course, Webkinz wouldn't be complete without my favorite character, Barely There, obviously. Even so, it's a constant reminder that I made this account when I was basically a different person. I'm playing on someone else's account, and I'm getting nostalgic for someone else's memories. That's been something I've been feeling for a while now. I've been watching a lot of home movies recently, and I never see myself in any old pictures or videos. None of my old things feel like mine, physically or virtually. My pets don't even recognize me for who I am. They still think I'm that old person, despite my far superior decorating skills, and I actually understand how the game works now. I can read now, and they don't realize that. I think the reason I loved Webkinz so much is that it was escapism for me. I could do whatever I wanted, express myself however I wanted, with few constraints. Well, I say few constraints, but even in Webkinz Studio, the in-game movie creator, you couldn't actually say the word gender. But it's also just this liminal space I'm in. I wanted to get this video out before the end of August, because that's when I'm going to college, and I've always viewed that milestone as the end of a person's childhood, and even though I've rushed through it, basically, I didn't really want to admit that it was coming up and it was going to end soon. Basically in 2 weeks now. I think in some ways the team at Webkinz knows this too, that their early Gen Z audience is trying desperately to maintain that same childhood mentality and refuses to acknowledge just the passage of time. All the new furniture and clothing sets they're coming out with are clearly geared to an older audience. A lot of it still features the aesthetic that we grew up with, but it was subdued and it was altered to mirror that, like, new aesthetic that we all kind of grew to have. You can tell that the team still cares. There's, like, monthly updates, weekly sometimes, but there's little done maintenance-wise on the software. Like, the game barely works anymore. The old Flash elements still linger, but they don't function. You know, features that were deleted years ago still show up in menus. Cynically, I think it's probably because those elements never were the real moneymakers, but it could also just be because they were made in Flash for the web, and that doesn't exist anymore, so it's kind of hard to make those features work. In some ways, I think it's sad and really fucked up that the world in the 2000s, and even in the present still, was so harsh and unaccepting of trans youth, that queer education was so lacking that this was one of my only outlets for my dysphoria. Ideally, I would have known that this was an actual thing, and I didn't have to live vicariously through a cross-dressing cat with a key slam for a name. But in another sense, I am thankful that no matter how shitty, I had something to express myself with, even if it was all subconscious, and even if I was clueless as to what was really going on. So thank you, Webkins, for being with me since I was 3 up until now, for really being the backbone of my childhood. And really, it's all your fault that I turned trans, honestly. But also, fuck you for getting rid of Amazing Hamsters, like, seriously? And what the fuck is Webkins next? I didn't ask for that, no one asked.
Tell me, where did you get those stripes?
Alright.